Hey guys, got a little project I'm going to be working on here today, along with my lovely assistant. I'm going to be working on making a square bale box. I'm going to flip the camera around here so you can see what we got. This is Wendy. She found this plan on the internet, and this is the plans right here. Texas hand hay baler. Basically, it's a box. I'm sure anybody that's done any research on these things have seen these online. But anyway, we're going to use it around our little farm here to make use of a little extra grass and hay that gets left in the field. We'll bale it up and use it. This is what we're going to be putting together. I'm going to be modifying the base just a little bit. I don't think we need all that much sticking out the front. We'll use a little bit of it stick out the back and kind of help stabilize it on the back side whenever you flip the big handle backwards. But this is what we're going to be working on. I'm going to shut this off and get my camera set up on the tripod, and we're going to slice up some plywood here in a few pieces and get it down in some manageable pieces. Wendy's going to help me make a few cuts on that on our table saw, so I will get at it. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and shut this off and get everything set up to use the miter saw. So anyway, wave. Say hi, Hunter.
Hi.
Alright, now I'm going to start cutting the pieces. They're actually 2x4. They didn't use any other oddball except for the small section of 1x4 in this project, which I think is a good idea. Just keep everything simple and keep it easy to put together, and keep your shop in this pretty low on the thing. So I'm going to start cutting pieces out of the 2x4s for the components. So the bag spelled out. A 50-inch long handle. I chose the 2x4 that the grain was fairly consistent, had part of the center in it. I don't know if everybody else is having the same problems, but it's hard to find, good lumber. Our local closest lumber store we have, I'm not going to mention any names, but it's 12 miles away from us. We live kind of out in the sticks, so we're kind of limited by the quality of lumber that we have available to us. So I just chose the straightest, looked like the strongest piece for the handle on this thing. Next piece is going to be the 2 lever pieces. They're 21 inches long, which I believe we can probably get both of them out of this piece right here, maybe. Next piece we're going to cut is the 24-inch long compressor arm. Cut 2 compressor pad supports, 2x4, 10 inches long. The only reason I'm marking on this stuff is so I'm laying it out, and when it comes time to grab them, I know exactly what pieces I'm grabbing. Some of them are pretty close in length, so it's kind of hard to tell. All right, we've got compressor pad supports. Now we're going to cut the lever fulcrum, which is a 2x4, 19 inches long. And this one right here just happens to be exactly 19 inches long. And let's see, a front brace, 18.5 inches long. Yeah, I don't know who, I'm not certain who come up with this plan, but there you go. They laid it out. Pretty nice. Corner supports, and I believe we need 4 of these, 43 inches long. Deck frame, we need 2 48-inch long and 2 12.5-inch long. Now I'm using stud lumber. I'm not using the regular length lumber, so I've got a few pieces I've got to cut out. Back braces, we need 2 2x4s, 18.5 inches long. Door frame, need 2 2x4s, 15 inches long, and 2 2x4s, 27.5 inches long. There's our door frame. A lot of lumber in this little project. Another piece for the door frame. 1x4. Another 1x4. 2 of those. Door hinge latch mounts. I need to make 4 of those. They're going to be small there. 1x4s, and I need 4 of them. 1.5 inches long. Latch mounts. 5.5 inch long. All right, guys, I've got all the pieces cut out, so I'm gonna shut you off here and get everything lined up, and then we'll get ready to start assembly. All right, guys, we got all our pieces cut out, so I think we're gonna start by putting everything together. We got all our 2x4s laid out, all of our pieces of plywood, so I think we'll start by building the deck. Make sure everything's kind of squared up. And we're going to be using 3-inch exterior screws on these. What's the thing about those types of gloves? They catch up into screws. Floor on. And square it up just a little bit. One in each corner, then we'll go along sides and front. Alright, there's our floor. Now, I believe we start with the sides. What we'll do is we'll take the sides, boards that we've got. Just use our deck for a little platform to work off of. These are what our corner braces are going to go on. Okay, so we'll put the side braces on the sides before we mount them up. We've got 4 inches of height, 3.5 plus the thickness of the 1/2 inch plywood. So you've got 4 inches of distance between here and here, and this sits right on the edge of the deck, and you screw into the sides. So that's what we're going to do here. And we'll use some more of these 1.25 inches. Here's one. And that will mount on the side, like so. Now, as you can see, the original design had this deck all the way sticking out in front and the box sitting way at the very end of it. Let's see. And that shows kind of the back side. We're going to mount this midway. That way we have a little support whenever we don't need all that deck out front, I don't feel. This is just my own personal take on it. But whenever you flop the lever back to rest point, you need a little support back here for that little extra weight that comes backwards on it. So we're going to move it forward probably about a foot or so. Kind of give ourselves a little more stability as the lever flops back. So I'm thinking a foot, 1.5 feet. Okay, I think what I've decided to do is move these about 11.5 inches from the end of the base. This gives us support on the back side whenever the levers flop backwards, but it also gives me room to set a bale of sisal twine on the back side. So I think that's what we're going to do. There's still enough room for the bale to lay down here for you to be able to get a hold of it. So I think it'll work good. And I'm going to put 3 screws in this. Put 3 screws in each. Now this isn't going to make your standard size bale coming out of the back end of a regular square baler. My wife looked at it and she said, well, that's going to be pretty small bales. Well, it is, but you're baling by hand. There's an older gentleman that used to live north of us a little ways. They have an old manual baler that you used to use wire on, sitting as decoration out there next to the road. Every time I drive by there, I see that. I think about, you know, how culture and putting up hay has changed over the years, you know. My grandfather in the hay fields, even before I was strong enough to throw a bale, I was driving the tractor, driving the truck, raking hay. Good memories. Hard work, but good memories. All right, there's our sides. Now I think I may work on the back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this around and watch this work there. Now for the back, let's see what you've got to start with. Looks like. There'll be a lot of stress on this back side. We're going to have some bracing across the back too, but make it a little more better, right? Now we've got 2 braces. across the back, and at the bottom. One looks like about midway. We can put the bottom brace on, keep that from kicking out. We'll use 3-inch nails for this. Yeah, it's looking like the other brace is right in the middle, so this 39 inches tall, 2.5 inches. Normally I buy Torx bit or star bit type screws, but the store I was at didn't have the size length I needed, and I ended up buying them both. So. Alright, so that's the back brace, fulcrum mounting pad, fulcrum lever, mount right in the middle of that, fulcrum mounting pad. So I need to find the center. And I'm not really proud of a lot of this lumber that we got, but it is what it is. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to mount this to that fulcrum pad and putting some screws in there. Put these screws in on the center line. And make sure this is square because you want your fulcrum lever sitting right up in the center. Now the fulcrum lever is going to mount high. That is what your tamping pad mounts to. So I'm going to get 3 screws, 4 screws run down each side. Put 3 down each side, and I'll come in on the inside and run some screws in from the back side on this thing. Alright. It's about time to get on off of this. These sawhorses here. There we go. Get this thing down here where we can work on it a little bit. Alright. Now what I'll do is I'll come in the back side and put a couple long screws in from the back side and then all that. There we go. Alright. There's our fulcrum lever. Now, I think there's a few pieces to this thing, and bolts and everything else on this thing. So we've got, let's see, these are our levers. So looks like it's a 3/4. Let's use the 3/4 inch on that, but the picture shows, or essentially 1/2 inch on that, but the picture shows using. We're going to use 1/2 inch bolts on that. So 3/4 down, drill 3/4 inch holes, 2 3/4 inch holes here, and 1 3/4 inch hole here. Alright, so we've got fulcrum, 3/4 inch bolt run through there with a washer in between. This is what's going to, the fulcrum arm, the compressing arm is going to hook to that. We'll lay out our works like this. I'm going to drill a 3/4 inch hole. Okay guys, so I'm going to shut y'all for a minute and I'm going to drill this 3/4 inch hole for this. Okay, I'm going to lay out for the compressor pad. Okay. 3/4 down the leg. We need to make sure that this thing's square. Yeah, we got to put this one on. Alright guys, kind of ended the last little section of the video. My phone kind of ran out of battery before I could finish up doing what I was wanting to do. But anyway, last section of the video, it had the fulcrum. We mounted the fulcrum for the lever, the compressing arm. I think I was somewhere in these bolts here, but I installed the 3/4 inch bolts, and this piece, as soon as I get the C-clamp off, this piece will pivot. Everything will flip over. What we're going to do now is I'm going to drill the holes and put the bolts in for the compressing lever. And this is the lever, the handle that's going to come over and it's going to use to compress the hay. I'm going to drill 2 1/2 inch holes all the way through, and we'll get ready to install the bolts in that. You'll have to pardon me, it's kind of warm today. Now these 2 1/2 inch bolts are going to be snugged up real tight to hold the lever tight to the fulcrum arms. Actually, I bought 6-inch bolts. Plan calls for 6-inch bolts. Should have bought 5 1/2 inch. That would have been plenty long. I think 5 inch would have been just a little shy. But anyway, I'm going to grab a couple inches here. I don't think we need to put a whole lot of torque on them. We just need to get them tightened down where they'll hold. I did put lock washers on there to kind of hold everything in place. I'm just going to tighten it up so it just starts to draw that washer into the wood. Now, I believe what we're going to find out is, tightening this, we probably pinch down on this some. We have to make sure that we get that as loose as we can. I have to loosen it up and put a couple more washers in there. Okay, what I found when I was putting this together, being all 2x4s, when I tightened up these bolts to tighten up the handle into place, it pinched the compressor arms. What I ended up doing is I took 1/8 of an inch slice off of both sides on the table saw and thin this down to where it would fit. So now everything kind of pivots and acts like it's supposed to. Now what I think I'm going to work on is the door. Okay guys, now we're going to work on building the door. I've got two 2x4s for the door frame that we cut out. You got one at the top and one at the bottom. We're going to install those. Use several screws. We're using 1¼ inch screws here. Now, and we're going to put our 1x4 pieces in. And we're going to use several 1¼ inch screws. Just have to be careful not to go extremely deep with these. Barely feel the tip of the screw through the 1x4. Okay, there's the door. Okay, one thing that I did find using the plans and everything is the way it's designed is the plywood of the door, as you can see, should come on the inside, and you use blocks. They're called latch mounts on the plans, but the latch mounts go here, and for that to match up with the face of this to be able to use your hinges and the latches and everything, the plywood on the door should sit inside of the frame, as you can see right there, when it's mounted, when the door is mounted. So I had to cut down the door width, and I had to cut down the length of the 2x4s just a little bit, get everything to match up. That's what I found on that. So we've got the door built, and I'm going to shim the bottom with some nails to kind of make sure that we've got clearance on the bottom for the door to swing nice and easy, and we'll be working on that. Okay, I've got 2 pieces of, it's like 5/16 dowel. I'm going to use that to shim up the door on both sides where we get a good clearance around the bottom. And we're going to get ready to mount the hinges. I chose 3-inch hinges, which the little latch mount blocks that you cut, the 3-inch hinges just barely fit on those. So I'm going to pre-drill these. Anytime you run screws into pine pieces this small, you run the risk of splitting it out. So I'm going to pre-drill the holes for the hinge mounting blocks. Our holes pre-drilled in the mount block of the hinges, and we're going to install them using 2.5-inch screws to run into the edge of the 2x4. Now we're going to mount one up high and mount the other down low. There's those. Now the others we're going to use 4 screws. Get one in the bottom, one in the top. Get our little pegs out of there. And we'll have a lot of clearance. I think we're a little bit narrower at the top than we are at the bottom. We're going to pull the top brace. Use that and clean that tightness out. There we go. There. All right. We'll have to pull the door back off when we get ready to cut the notches in for the strings. And we're going to use the little latch mounts. We're going to put the latch down low, and we'll put the latch up high. That's going to be our latch mounts. We'll pre-drill the holes and get these latch mounts put on there. We'll mount these latch blocks in with 1.5-inch screws. And we're going to have to be careful when we run them in because we don't want to split them out. There we go. And these are just barrel bolt style latches. I bought the 2.5-inch just to make sure I had plenty of string. And 5/8 screws on these. I believe we got to mount these back just a little bit. These really don't matter because I want something solid to close against. Okay. Here's the door. Now, we got to mark our layout for our gonna shut you off here for a minute, and we're gonna go get a pencil and get ready to mark them out. Now for the string notches in the door, what I've done is I've marked 1.5 inches down from the side, from the top, underneath the top brace, on both sides. And since we're going to be baling up some finer material, yard trimmings and stuff like that, and those of you that bale, maybe baling pine needles and stuff, you may want to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a 3rd notch in here and run a 3rd string, just to hold the bale together. So right there at the 1.5 inch mark down, I'm going to center a bit on that mark, and right over next to the side of the frame, I'm going to drill a 1/2 inch hole. On this side, and in the center. Down at the bottom, I went 14 inches down. I'm going to drill holes on marks down there directly below the others. Now, when I flip this over, I'm able to put the jigsaw in. Flip those out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay a straight edge down on those. Mark, and I'm going to jigsaw these notches out. You can see what I'm doing there. I'm going to take the jigsaw down through there. We're just going to cut a notch. And I may get into that one before on the front just a little bit. I'm going to make this big enough for a knot to pass through. I believe it's plenty warm today. Got a fairly coarse blade for the jigsaw. Doesn't have to be real pretty. We can smooth it up with a file. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these notches out. And we're going to take fine file and we're going to just kind of smooth these. I don't know if I mentioned it, it's awful hot out here. Okay. Now we're going to get ready to remount the door back on the box. Hang on to the screws will be okay. Box. Now, I'm going to install what they call the floor plate. It's what separates the strings, the pinch pad. And since we are installing a center string, we're going to have to split this piece. So we're going to have to take a little over a 1/2 inch out. Okay, now we've got our pinch pads down at the bottom, and we're going to go ahead and get them screwed down. Okay, pinch pads are in place. Now we've got to put some eye screws in there. It's going to basically hold the twine in place. These are 1 1/8" eye screws. Side back here, and all these do is hold the string in place bottom of the box until you're ready to and flip the bale out. Get a drill bit. Drill a tiny hole for those. I'm going to shut you off for a minute. Go get a drill bit. Okay, I got that's pilot holes drilled. We're going to try and get these eye screws run down in. All right, now since we've got center string, we've got to put another set of eyes. As you can see, you got the little pinch points there that the string's going to lay in. And as you go to pull the bale out, the string will come up from between the little pinch points and the eye screws and pop out with the bale. I've got to get them adjusted. I'm going to get a piece of twine and make sure we got those adjusted right, so it'll hold the string in place, but then when you go to pull the bale out, it'll let it snap out. So anyway, I'm going to turn you off and I'm going to get some twine and we'll try it out. Now, as you can see, got them all kind of adjusted there, and the twine as it comes down, as the twine comes down from up above, comes down the back wall, right in here, the line's going to be pinched in between the pinch point. Let's see, this will be coming up the wall, and then as the bale, you get done, and after you tie, and you go to pull the bale out, that pops loose. That pops loose. So all this is just meant to hold the strings in place while you're forming the bale. Okay. Now, what I've got is the twine. This is regular old heavier baler, sisal baler, square baler twine. And just want to tie. I cut it at 107 inches. I think it'd be better if we make it about 110 inches, but just tie a loop in one end of it. I'm just going to show you how this thing's kind of mounted, or loaded, I guess I should say. Now, if you take on the back side, notice I cut notches in the top that the string lays in. I put hooks on the back side that you just bring the string down, and you hook it on that, and the string goes in the notch. You bring it down the back side, and get it in there. Put it in that little hold on the back, like that. And run it along that pinch point. Pop it down into this one, like so. The door too, you can notice I've already got the strings loaded for the other side. But you bring in a string up, put it in the corresponding notch on the door, and shut the door. Make sure everything isn't pinched down inside, like I just did. There we go. I'll re-latch them. On the sides, I just put some little hooks on the side just to kind of hang the strings out of the way while we're making the bale. I think if we take this, we'll just make a loop in this, like so. Look on there. That'll just kind of hold it back out of the way while you're making the bale. And kind of do the same thing with this side. And there we go. Ready to make hay. Basically what you do, big old wad of grass or hay, stuff it down inside there, flip the dresser pad and arm up, and you just press it down in with the lever. And you do that repeatedly. Over and over and over. All the hay in there that you can compress down. The last compression will be everything you can get. And I may end up putting a hook and latch right here on that last compression that'll hold the pressure on. Once the bale is, once you got enough hay in there to make the bale, you just pull up, pull a little bit of string out, feed it up over the hay, out through the little hole, and you take your corresponding string, basically slip it through and you make like a trucker's hitch. You just pull it down and you square it off. And then when you let up, everything will be pressed in and packed in tight. Anyway, had to do a little modification on the measurements for the door. Other thing I had to do it, I had to round the top of this lever fulcrum so the pad would make a clearance on the door. You can see it's pretty tight, but it does go. I think after repeating it'll probably wear itself in, unlike everything else. But anyway, this is our homemade manual hay baler. Big, small bales, 12 inches by approximately 15 inches. And you're looking at probably 30-inch long bale. Anyway, that is it. Hope you enjoyed it. You decide to put one of these together. You'll notice what I'm talking about as far as the dimensions and everything. But takes a little time. But I think we're going to put some wheels on this thing and make it a little bit more portable. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys.